What is going on, guys? Today we are here with the mid icon tier list. So we have got every single icon in the game for the mid variety, and we're going to go through them one by one and put them in this list of S, AS, A, B, and C. So if you do enjoy, make sure you smash that like button. If there's any specific icons you'd like more about, then definitely check out the channel. I might have done a review, and if not, drop a comment down below. Let me know who you'd like to see. I'm trying to review as many of these icons as possible, so stay tuned for all of that. And let's get on with our first one. So Zola is coming up first as we see the 87 centre forward. He is Italian with the alternative position as a striker. He's coming in with good paces throughout. Obviously is very much explosive, as well as having no controlled change or lengthy change in him. Still coming in at 5'3". I can imagine in the box is going to be very tricky. Good agility, balance, okay, well, composure is a little bit shocking for 500k at 75. I feel like he could do a certain job, but in terms of meta kind of variety with Zola, I think he's got to be in that A category. I feel like he's got to be in that A category. Zidane is up next. This guy is an absolute monster. You can just imagine coming in at 3.1 for this 94 cam. He is absolutely electric. He's got great pace, shooting, passing, dribbling. Even the physicality is very nice. He is naturally a lengthy player as well, which is always going to go hand in hand with this game. I think in general there is no other deserved form rating than it is an S for this guy. Up next is our 88 right back Zanetti. He is again one of them guys that I would prefer 100% in the CDM. And honestly, I am very happy with the alternative positions this year because you can actually put him as a CM. So you don't actually need a centre mid to go right back, even though Llorente's got you on that one. You can definitely go with this guy in a centre mid role. He has left back, right wing back, right back, and centre mid. I think most definitely being 5'10", good pace, dribbling's okay. Very good defendings, good physicals. An architect will make him lengthy, which gives him 91 pass and 88 physical. There is no other position I'd rather want than this guy to definitely be in that CM to CDM role. As a right back, I think he could definitely still do a job. Obviously, you're going to have to put the architect on him on new gen. Old gen, you can definitely get away with a hunter or a shadow, and he'll do you an absolute service. 384k. If I was being really harsh, I think A, but just purely from a new gen perspective, I think he's going to be the first one in that AS. Zambrotta is up next with a left back of 87. This guy has got so many different positions. It's very nice to see from different cards, from left back to right back, from right back to left back. He is a beautiful defender in this game. Would say I do prefer his base. I don't know. It's just as a right back, it just works really well. 430,000 coins at this moment in time as an 87. He has got the positions of right back, left wing back, and left back for this card. A 4-star, 5-star, can go lengthy with a sentinel, architect, backbone, or anchor. So an anchor's got to be the shout. And I think left back or right back, this guy's going to do you, again, a massive service. And he'll sit himself right underneath our cheeky Zanetti. We've got our first keeper, 91 rated Yashin. Again, another keeper that, to be honest, probably will do a very good job in the sticks. Again, if you've checked out the best goalkeepers tier list, I'm kind of okay with a bunch of keepers. It is just naturally who you want in net. And I think over time, you find that kind of one that really does well. Yashin's never really been on the list until he hits prime. And that's pretty much just because he has a hat. That is pretty much the only reason anybody really wants him. I think in terms of keeper standards, he's nice. It's coming in at 369. I think, again, you can get cheaper for that. So I'm going to keep him in the AS. Even though I do think he's a solid keeper, I do think there's cheaper out there. Next up is Arman Xavi, the 90 rated Spaniard. It's coming in with very good passing and dribbling. Everything else is a little bit on the lower side. No chance of being lengthy. I think he's going to offer you the passing and maybe an agility sort of side to the game. Whether he's really going to hold up that much is going to be very slim. 90 rated at 305k. I think for me, if you have a very good passing ethos in the game, this guy's going to do absolute wonders for the tiki-taki sort of passing. If you had him in an Iniesta, maybe in like a 4-1-2-1-2 narrow, so you have your 2 centre mids, a DM, a cam, and 2 strikers, I think them two could do really well if you're not exploiting the wing too much. These guys definitely will play that ball really well, but if you're not passing orientated, and especially old gen, I don't see the really relevance here. As soon as you get somebody way bigger, stronger, bit quicker to get the ball back off you, you're going to find that Xavi's not necessarily going to do it. For that reason, I am being very brutal because obviously we have got so much room, and I think for me, he's got to be in that B. Our new icon up next, we got Xabi Alonso 89. I think we've done the 87, I want to say, as a review. So that one, to be honest, very start of the game. So again, very little input of really knowledge of a whole month on the game, going up the ranks and rivals, champs, all of that really good stuff to get that big picture of what this game's all about. Honestly, again, very much like Xavi to some extent. The only difference I have with, obviously, a Xabi Alonso is he can be lengthy. You can whack the anchor on him to get lengthy, which is a slight bonus. Would have been better with the shadow because I feel like he definitely needs that pace increase. Even with a shadow, you only get to 80. But with that lengthy, that would have been a really nice touch for him, as well as then getting a big boost on that defending. I think for me, I'm going to stick with the A for the moment until we see where everybody else is going. I think A is a nice one because he can still be lengthy at this point in the game, at the very early stages. That is going to be a big boost over not being lengthy, unfortunately. Ian Wright coming up next, 87 rated striker. Again, very much like a lot of these strikers, has got some sauce on him. You've got good pace that can be increased with a hunter. Shooting wise, again, very nice at 89 on the base. You can't argue with it. Good dribbling, nothing too crazy. Obviously, the physicality side of him is not amazing. Passing, again, very much non-existent. He is just an out-and-out goal scorer, and that is it. He's not going to give you that link-up play like some of the strikers you can get already. He is coming in at 100k, so I think for me, if I'm looking at strikers, I've used a few of the top-end ones now, as well as some that look top-end but not have that lengthy meta, especially on new gen. Old gen, I can imagine he probably can still do some work, so this, unfortunately, for the old gen is predominantly going to be all new gen based, mainly because that is where I know the meta, and for me, Ian Wright just won't fit it. We've used Brolin, and honestly, he just really didn't sit in very well. So we're going to have to go with C for him. The price kind of reads it all. Next up, Vieri. Okay, so now we've got to somebody like very much a Wright. Pace-wise, pretty much the same. Great shooting, little bit of dribbling. Agility balance is the little bit of thing that's off. Great strength from him, though. Good head and accuracy. But the big thing you've got with him is he's lengthy off the base. That is going to prove very useful for a striker at the very start of the game. Now, whether that really brings him up is the next question, because again, Ian Wright was 100k, so is Vieri. I do know that necessarily is still not necessarily the fantastic striker that you want. That lengthy meta will push him up, in my opinion. And I feel like at the start of the game, before we've kind of really had any sort of patches yet, he's going to do a lot better than a lot of the strikers that have not necessarily got the lengthy. For me, on the new gen, I'd say we've got to stick him in that A. Vieira is up next. And yes, if you haven't worked it out by now, it is name ordered and it's going backwards. Obviously, didn't really mix them up. But Vieira is next at 1.8 million coins. Another absolutely fantastic card. Lengthy as ever. Every version of him every year is always expensive, and this year is no different. So I think straight away, we know exactly where he's going, back home with his French player or partner in that S tier. Vidic up next, 88 rated. He has 85 and 90 as his two other versions that you can get. Again, lengthy from the base, which is always good for centre-backs. That adds an absolute value, as well as being able to add the shadow on top of this, giving him only 78 pace, which again is not necessarily incredible, gives him to 173,000 coins. Again, I can see that being a fair price for him. We can obviously pick so many other players that will be cheaper and of the same sort of nature. Virgil is one big one personally, but Virgil for me is the best gold. Vidic most definitely comes in as a high-rated centre-back in the icons, and I'm going to stick him in that A. Sebastian Veron next as the 88 Argentinian centre mid. Lengthy is on the Chem Star, which is always nice. Again, a good balance throughout, really. Shooting wise, not terrible. Some good long shots and shot power on him. Passing, fantastic. That's the one thing that I noticed last year, was the passing was actually really top end on this card, which it took me by surprise. Even though you've got the kind of 88 pace passing, which you already can kind of establish that is good, you forget how good that actually is compared to a lot of these cards. If you're thinking Xavi is 100% passing orientated and is only 5 above it, that is a very good card, and he's got some dribbling, agility balance not incredible, but great composure on him. We've got a bit of physicality, some defending. You probably still want to go with the anchor to make him lengthy, and it will make him 78 pace, 81 defending, 87 physical, and you've got yourself a top-end centre mid. And for that reason, we're going in the A, Robin van Persie. So a big card right now, 89 rated striker. I don't know, I think the market might be bugged because apparently he's extinct, and I don't think he's extinct at 1.5. I can imagine that's probably not true. Oh no, okay, so he's about 480 at the moment, so he's up and down of that. Relatively good cost. Architect will make him lengthy, which again sounds incredible with strikers, and I always get lured into this trap because lengthy is always going to be the number one, but you definitely want the lengthy on the base, so then you can whack the hunter, you can whack the stats that are required. For Van Persie, you need to put the architect on him, which again is absolutely fantastic. You can still make him lengthy, and he definitely will be better than somebody who isn't with that pace. But if I can go and get a Haaland with a hunter with 90 something pace, 90 something shooting, and he's lengthy, he is going to be better than obviously Van Persie. The one thing that Van Persie brings is a little bit of flair, a little bit of dribbling, a 4-star lean in the game. He's got obviously that physicality and also a passing route with the architect. So for me, I'm going to go AS. I think that's got to be the move for him. We've had Van Persie, now Van Nistelrooy. So again, another lengthy on the base. This guy actually has a big upgrade. His base can only be lengthy with marksman, sniper, hawk, and architect. Obviously, that they are the only ones that make him lengthy in terms of the attacking options. With his mid, he is lengthy from the beginning, meaning you can whack that hunter on him, which is absolutely fantastic because this is the sort of player that you want. 90 pace, 92 passing. This is exactly what makes him almost from an A to an AS 100% of the time. The shooting's already high, great composure on him. Yes, dribbling wise is not going to be incredible. He's 6'2", he's going to feel bulky at times, but so does a lot of players. Haaland doesn't feel like the player that can dribble around absolutely everybody. He just runs straight through them. With obviously the 84 strength, Van Nistelrooy is going to be able to have that same element in some aspects. Yes, there will be downgrades with obviously the 3-star, but I think as an 150k striker, he's got to sit with Van Persie in there, mainly because lengthy on the base. Going through all the Dutch players now, we have Van der Sar sitting up next as an 89 rated keeper. I think for me, if anybody's going to be a keeper in the S tier, it's got to be Van der Sar. I've seen so many people use him over the years. He naturally is just a fantastic keeper and is a must. Next is Marco van Basten, a 79 pace, 92 shooting, 87 dribbling, no real physicality value or passing, lengthy with an architect. Unfortunately, you definitely need the lengthy on the base for this card. You need more pace than that. 79 is not going to be enough. When you whack the architect, you get the passing upgrade to 83, 79 physical. Unfortunately, it's not going to see him into that meta category. If you can get the shots off with him, he is going to be able to score. There's no doubt in that. We've got great finishing. We've got great on-the-ball kind of mechanics with him. It is just getting him into them positions and really trying to outrun anybody. It's just not going to happen. So we're going to have to put him in the B category with Xavi. Up to Trezeguet, and what a player this guy is. He is fantastic. Lengthy off the start, add the hunter on for the 90 pace, and this is why, very much like Van Nistelrooy, he is just brilliant on the ball. Agility balance, not quite amazing. Composure, a little bit less as well. Bit of physicality, good amount of head and accuracy. Standing at 6'2" as well, with the 4-star, which is what really puts him ahead of everybody. And he has got an SBC that's coming in at 195k at the moment, with obviously a 170k price tag. He is going straight into that AS. Not quite an S category, but definitely in the top brackets of icons. Torres up next, and again, a striker that I always feel like he's just never given enough credit. I think for me with Torres, he's kind of a love-hate relationship. I think last year it was the base that did really well, the mid that did terrible, and the prime that did just incredible. Prime was absolutely unreal. Unfortunately this year, again, I don't think there's any versions. Check the prime out. I don't think there's any versions that can be lengthy for him, but there is a big but there, we can still get the controlled with him. We've already got fantastic pace. I would say, like a lot of people, a Hawk is going to be justified with this one. If you do whack the Hawk, if I can find it, you get 95 pace, 92 shooting, and 79 physical. The one thing I was finding, especially with the meta this year, if you've got lengthy, obviously it's a win. Explosive as a striker, somebody who definitely wants to go against the defenders. There is no chance of you being able to just run through the defenders. You've got to be in somewhere of a through ball aspect. Control definitely still works. Yes, defenders obviously of the lengthy meta will actually catch you, but I find you have way better chance of kind of getting to the goal before they do, rather than the explosive. I like the explosive on the wing. It tends to work. I tend to bring it back, pass it forward, get the burst, bring it back. Whereas a striker, you kind of can't do that to some aspect. You need to be going 1 and 2 in with your striker if you are playing a kind of 2 pair up front. And Torres definitely will give you that pace straight off the bat. The acceleration is 98, so he's going to give you a good work ethic, even without the lengthy, as long as he's controlled. I think he is definitely in that AS version. Next up is going to be Suker, the 87 Croatian striker, 345,000 coins, has an 85, an 87, and a 90 in the game. Pace-wise, looking pretty good. Shooting fantastic, as we always see. Passing, again, okay on this one. Not crazy, but definitely not bad. Physicality, non-existent, and a good amount of dribbling. A 4-star left-footed player can only be controlled, so he's going to give you that kind of range of motion. Centre forward is the only alternative position. A cam might actually really work for him. 6 foot, so I can imagine the agility balance is nice, but definitely not really rapid. I think, again, you're looking at an okay striker. I think for me, he's got to sit in that A. Stoichkov up next, a 90 left wing. Again, very variations of positions. A striker, left wing striker. Yes, you have got the roles as well of left wing, left mid, and striker for the alternative of him. Unfortunately, no lengthy. He's going to stay pretty much controlled throughout. And again, some very good stats. I think this guy, especially from myself, is slept on far too much. A left-footed left wing with a 4-star, 3-star. You can just look at the base stats and figure out that they are very impressive. We've got good pace on him. We've got great shooting. Passing's incredible. Good amount of physicality, more aggression than anything, and solid dribbling. I think this card is justified sitting in at 800. Definitely would love to give him a go. People are saying finisher. On the wing, that would work because that makes him explosive. If I was personally keeping him as a striker potential, I think an engine or something like, even going straight at Hunter, to be honest, would actually do him really good. 98 pace, 95 shooting. I don't think I'd argue with that. That has got to definitely be an AS card for the history books. Socrates, okay, an 89 Brazilian cam. You know what I'm like? Brazilian icons I absolutely love. They are just phenomenal in the game. There's nothing better than getting that Brazilian flag first, having a little mini heart attack in the middle in case it says striker or center forward, realizing Rivaldo's there. But Socrates, again, a lovely player. 4-star, 5-star. Can be lengthy with the architect, which is always nice in that kind of centre mid sort of vibe. Defending wise, nothing crazy, so he is going to be more attacking than naturally defending. But I think as a cam, you can't argue with him. Agility's good, balance not so as much, but we have got that 5-star weak foot, which adds just a little bit of balance. Good physicality, nothing crazy. Passing solid, shooting's pretty good from long range especially. Obviously, you're going to have to go for the architect, which will make the strength a hell of a lot better, but he's still going to be a wonderful card. I think if I'm being brutal, I think he's got to be in that A, but you could definitely see him at the start of the game probably going in more into that AS. 88 Shevchenko, the Ukrainian striker, coming in at 150,000 coins. Lengthy with the architect. Pace is okay. Shooting solid. Dribbling's, again, not bad. Bit of physicality, nothing crazy. Passing is average at best. The chemistry style, unfortunately, would have to be architect. On the old gen, definitely a solid card. I think Hunter would suit him down to the ground. 92 pace, 94 shooting. That's going to be a solid card without any lengthy or any run types. That would really do this card nicely. So old gen would definitely be better. And I think that goes across the boards with a lot of these players because there is no accelerate run type for them. This goes back to almost a FIFA 22 meta. There still obviously is a slight tweak on the meta, but pace always wins. It's just naturally the best thing to have on any sort of game. I think for me, if I'm looking at him and being brutally honest, there is a lot of strikers like it. I'm going to put him in the B category. And like I say, there is a lot like this. As I say, this Shearer appears. So we have got the controlled, again lengthy, but the difference is he can be lengthy with a hawk. Again, not necessarily the hunter that we really could do with. The hunter would be fantastic. 92 pace, 95 shooting. That would be a beautiful card right there. A 2-star, 3-star, unfortunately. So the skill moves are very, very basic on him. But with the hawk, 88 pace, 95 shooting, 88 physical. I think, again, a solid card you can pick up for 160,000 coins. I just think that skill move is really going to lack in this card, and is going to feel a hell of a lot stiffer unless he did have the 3-star, 4-star. I think that would really majorly upgrade this card, so he's going to sit in that A mainly because he can get lengthy with a hawk. Another great one here. Seedorf is just beautiful. 650,000 coins. He is, again, an absolute monster in this midfield. We do definitely get that anchor to make him lengthy. 86 pace, 76 defending, 90 physicals. Has great passing, decent dribbling, agility on the lower side. Everything else is looking good. A bit of shooting as well. Honestly, a fantastic card and a must pick up. And he's going to be sitting himself in that S nice and proud. Schweinsteiger up next, the 89 centre mid, coming in at 270. And again, very, very similar to his counterparts in Xavi, obviously Xabi Alonso. The pace is just not enough. We do get the anchor with the lengthy, which is better than nothing. I just think the 72 is not going to be enough, unfortunately. It's 69 acceleration, 75 sprint speed. There is so many other players. And yes, in terms of icons, it's not necessarily the worst. But in terms of everything else, if you can add golds, heroes, specials, there is going to be so many players that add that sort of better value of stats throughout that will be a lot cheaper than what, 270. That being said, lengthy does actually add a great amount of value. Even though it does say 72, you are looking or feeling more on the 80 plus side, which is just crazy to think. But I just think there is far better options. So Schweinsteiger is going to be sitting in that A. Paul Scholes up next with 159k to his name. No chance of being lengthy. The pace most definitely is the problem with this card. Passing 89. Again, very, very top end. But unfortunately, there's no real dribbling to add to that. He has got great reactions on him. Ball control solid. Dribbling, again, not as much as we could imagine. A 3-star. Shooting wise from long range, you can't argue. Again, I'd much rather do the Trivela, which is, again, going to be the major problem with any sort of long rangers. You are looking for that Trivela or anything. Great stamina, not really too much strength. I think he's definitely got to come down into that C category. You never see this guy. Schmeichel's in at a 90 rated keeper, coming in at 185. Again, we've had Yashin. I think he went into the AS. We had Van der Sar, who again is just beautiful. For me, Schmeichel again is one of them ones that I think he is definitely a love him or hate him sort of keeper. I very, very rarely see him. You normally see out of the keepers, maybe a Casillas because he was new last year. You see Van der Sar a lot. You see Yashin more, like I say, prime. Schmeichel's not really in the picture. I think the final one, Czech, I saw a couple of times, but he did get an SBC. I'm going to put Schmeichel in that A, and we'll see how you react to that. Hugo Sanchez up next, the 3-star striker. No lengthy capabilities. We do have the controlled meta, which is what I'd always prefer over explosive over strikers. In terms of what chem style I personally put on him, you've got Hunter being the number one in terms of the footbin community, but that is only 6 votes. Personally, for me, I'd be looking. He's got 90 pace, 88 shooting. That's always nice. Hawk-wise gives him 94 on his pace shooting, as well as a little bit of a physicality boost. Nothing too crazy. Marksman could be the way as well. I think you've got 89 acceleration, 90 sprint speed. You could argue. I think it depends on what you want, because you get 99 dribbling, 96 ball control. But I think I'd rather have more of a pace increase, even if it is only +4. I feel like that would be the better shout. 3-star, 3-star. I think he's got to be sitting in A, surely. Ian Rush, 89 rated Welsh striker. Again, very, very similar to a lot of these strikers. Does have the lengthy capabilities with the Architect, unfortunately. Again, pace is just not going to be enough. We're going to rattle this one off straight down to the bottom next to his counterpart, Shevchenko. Rui Costa, 88 rated, cam Portuguese. Again, very similar to a lot of kind of other cams at this point. We have a Figo base, I want to say, that is a nice cam. And I don't know if Deco's even in the game anymore, you know. I swear I haven't seen him in a while. No, it's been removed. Very weird. Sometimes you just forget about a player. But Rui Costa, lengthy with the Architect, and I think with a cam, a little bit different because pace-wise is great, but we don't necessarily need it crazily amount because mainly the strikers are going to be the two that I really need through. And Rui Costa is going to be there for assistance, for a little bit of running if we kind of need him to. So having that kind of need for a lengthy player is going to be a lot less for my cam personability for my personal use. I don't even know where I was going with that. It's a long review. But with Rui Costa, I think, again, he's got the dribbling, a 4-star, 4-star. We've already got relatively decent composure. Shooting-wise is nothing crazy, but we've got a bit of long shots on him. Pace is okay. Again, it's probably just about average. We get a good amount of passing from the Architect. It takes him over to lengthy, which is definitely increasing of the pace if you don't see it as that as a stat. And I think for me, he's going to sit in that A category next to Sanchez. Rooney is up next, and again, a beautiful centre forward here. Can be centre forward, striker, or cam, which obviously adds to the positions of which you really, really need him in. And again, Architect with a lengthy, but we've already got 90 pace, 91 acceleration. Already got the 90 shooting as well. Dribbling wise is looking pretty fantastic. I think this card definitely comes in as a higher tiered card, and that is why he's 1.05 mil. You kind of get the gist of a lot of these players just based on their prices, mainly because people, if they're not going to be using them, the demand is going to be low, the supply will end up rising, meaning the price drops on this card. Rooney is got to be sitting in that S for me. I don't even have to really go for this next one, do I? Because R9 is just beautiful. He is a stunning striker still. Again, you can't argue. He's how much is he now? I think the last time I checked he was about 8 mil. He is sitting in 8.6 million coins. Has anybody bought him? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there's over 100 people with way more coins than I'll ever have. 8.6 mil. It is going to the top of the S category. You never argue with R9. You get him, you buy him, you use him, you fall in love. R9 is just stunning. And to be honest, the same thing you do for this next one. Ronaldinho is just a stunning player. The 5-star, 4-star, the skills, the pace, the shooting. He is just one of them players that even if he was rated lower, say they really underdid him, like they absolutely tore him apart. They put him at like an 87 for the mid. This card would still be one of my favorite cards in the game, just to play with him as a name and see it pop up. The skill moves are elite, very, very much like Neymar in that aspect in terms of how he plays on the game. If you haven't used a Ronaldinho, just whenever you shoot, is that player for me? Say, for instance, you are an Ian Wright fan. You're a little bit older. You've watched Ian Wright. You're an Ian Wright fan through and through. When you watch your favorite player score, it makes Ultimate Team worth it. Ronaldinho, even though he is absolutely incredible at 2.7 mil already, he has that same sort of vibe now. Yes, there is players like I'm trying to think of some that I can see there. You could have a Torres. To be honest, a Torres could be quite a nice one. Every time you score with him, it just makes that a little bit happier playing Ultimate Team. Ronaldinho is just amazing. From a megs, from a cross, from a skill, from a goal, he is for me an SS and another S. We have Rivaldo next, the 90 centre forward Brazilian. We're going through definitely waves of Brazilians here. He's coming in at 470,000 coins. No chance of being lengthy. He is completely controlled, which is always nice. The only thing that always stopped Rivaldo in pretty much most years doing well is the 4-star 2-star. At the start of the game, yes, the start you can definitely get away with it. I think his cam version is quite nice. You then look at his prime as a left wing. You can bring that inside now because of the alternative positions. He's got that ability on the ball. Pace isn't terrible. With a chem style, you're laughing. Dribbling's fantastic. Shooting's great. Passing solid. But the 2-star weak foot is just so bad, it's unreal. I think last year, for the moments, they definitely upgraded it. But it is just so bad. You've got to have more because you are just portraying where you're going. As soon as you know you're left-footed, you're done for because there's just no way that you're going to be utilizing a right foot as much with that 2-star. So unfortunately, it pains me to do it. I think in terms of how important that weak foot is in this game now, from passing, crossing, shooting, just anything with that ball, it is very, very important and it will put him in that A. If he was to have a 4-star, 4-star, I think I'd even be close to putting him in S, to be honest. Riquelme up next, the 89 Argentinian. He has got an 87, 89, 91, 112,000 coins, so you can already tell one of the lower icons. We've seen 100k, nothing lower than that, so at the minute, he is sitting relatively low on that scale for mids. He's got 68 pace, no chance of being lengthy, defending's poor, shooting's only okay, great dribbling on him. I think he's got some solid stats there, agility balance above average, everything else very top quality, and good passing. So for me, control is still nice, but the chem style really you're going to want is just not going to help him at all. The Hunter gives him 76 pace, 89 finishing, or 89 shooting. I just don't think it's enough. Even for 112k, I definitely can get better already. So for me, he's got to be coming down low into that C. Rijkaard is up next with his 238,000 coin price tag. Again, another one like, I can't remember, Trezeguet. He has got an SBC with 232,000 coins. And again, a nice card that you can go. Centre-back CDM. I personally would play him in a CDM role, mainly because you can have that shadow or you can have that anchor, depending on what you really want. I personally would go and vote for the shadow personally because he's got 88 strength already. I think he's a solid card that you can use. And I think for me, in a CDM role, I'd be putting him in AS. As a centre-back, I may be going a bridge between A and AS. I think he's in the middle of them two. I'm definitely not adding another tier between them of AS. It ain't happening, but a solid card in CDM. Raul is up next as an 88 centre forward in the Spanish nation. Again, a solid card, no lengthy, but what he can have is controlled with Hawk, Sniper, Marksman as the main attacking ones. Already having that 86 pace, I think you can go with the Hawk. Keep him controlled, keep him nice on that run. 90 pace, 91 shooting. A little bit on that physicality. Great dribbling on him already, and he's got a bit of short passing. Again, another solid card that actually I don't know the price of. I'm putting him in AS, and his price is just shy of about 300,000 coins, so a solid card to pick up. Puyol, the 90 rated centre-back, a phenomenal card. I think, again, very similar to a lot of players, like, for instance, Thomas Muller, PK now, but obviously with less pace. Puyol is just a phenomenal defender, and the big thing this year is he has that lengthy, meaning you can whack the shadow on him. Doesn't give him the greatest amount of pace, but 80 is enough personally to keep him going with the lengthy. Already having that defending and physical, it turns him into a 93 rated centre-back. For now, he's gonna be in that AS. I can imagine he probably will drop at some point, but we are living the Puyol dream at the moment with lengthy on him. Puskás up next. Again, another phenomenal player. 1.7 mil. Unfortunately, can't be lengthy. And it's funny with some cards, they do need it, but sometimes they don't. And that is the weirdest part with some of them because they just naturally do really well. Mbappe is a massive kind of example that I personally use. He is my best striker. Yes, price tag is incredible. He is number one in the game in terms of gold cards. Obviously, Messi and all that do have the same rating, but in terms of striker, he's number one, but he can't be lengthy. It's mind-boggling that some need it, some don't. I don't know if it's specific run types that we can't see in the game. I know R9 has a body type like his own. It's just R9. So it's interesting to see. As well as Puskás, he's always been an S. And in this year, it most definitely is the same. Pirlo, 90 rated. Again, very similar to Xavi, very passing orientated, very dribbling orientated. Agility's up. We've got a good amount of composure. Like I say, passing's just through the roof at 93. little bit more pace, well, in fact, a little bit less pace, sorry, than Xavi, a little bit more shooting than Xavi, which again does accommodate something. The big thing that he does have that really works well is the 5-star, 4-star. That again is going to bump him up that little bit. I think for me, he's kind of sitting in between B and A. I will be putting him in A category, as I feel like that is where he belongs in terms of what I've used him with. But I definitely think he will drop down very, very soon into this game. Once we start seeing massive releases, we start having like consistent promos. We're only 3 or 4 promos in. He is starting to become less and less relevant. And a lot of these icons are. Again, we're going to go to the point where it is just the top S category, and that is all you need. So for Pirlo is going to sit in that A at the moment, but more than likely will drop down quickish. Pires up next. Again, a left mid that can be right mid, left wing, and cam. So the alternative positions have been very kind to him. He does have a base card of 85 that is a cam, which again is quite nice. I think his base card is pretty decent, but this one's had a massive pace upgrade. Unfortunately, can't be lengthy, but can be controlled. Shooting wise is not really existent. He's going to be pretty much the assistant sort of left mid, not really going to be suited heavily onto that left wing. People are suggesting a finisher on him, which will give him a good base here. Let's have a quick look. It takes him up to 89 shooting, which, to be honest, you can't really grumble at too much. You don't get any more on that pace, unfortunately. You get a bit more on that dribbling, which is always good, especially because it gets the agility balance, which is fantastic. I can't remember the year that they changed it, that finisher is not shooting physical and now it's shooting dribbling. That is a massive key for this card. I'm gonna put him in that B category for now, but again, he's not, when you put him in the B, it doesn't mean that they're totally useless. It just means that they're better in the icon variation as such. Petite, a 350 CDM 88 rated French player. Again, lengthy is always there. Always can't complain at that. He is not lengthy on the base, so you do need a chem style. I would probably go with anchor if anything. You can't unfortunately do it with the shadow, so I do need some sort of pace increase because 75 is not going to cut it. But having that lengthy on 79 will give him a good amount, and CDMs are covered by centre backs, so having not necessarily 90, 80, high 80s, 90s on his pace is fine for the CDM. You can put him at centre back and also as a left back, but I'd definitely keep him in that CDM role. I think pairing him up with someone like a Rijkaard, if he was looking for an icon team, would actually be really nice. I think defending wise looks good, physicalities are solid, passing wise great short, good long, dribbling, I was looking for the word, composure, fantastic, great reactions, and a bit of agility balance. Being 6'1", he's going to feel a little bit stiff from time to time, but I do think this guy's sitting in the AS variation. Finally, we get to another absolute baller of the game, 4.1 mil. Pele is Pele. On this game, he is just incredible still. Has actually not got the lengthy component and can only be controlled with an architect, a marksman, or an anchor. People are saying the hawk is where it's at for him. His pace is just something that outshines everything, and it'll be interesting to see how this guy goes on in the latter of the game, because it's just interesting to see where this progression's going. With obviously the centre-backs being lengthy on the base, means that every version up will become lengthy, and I believe every striker won't be. So this is going to be an interesting portion where they go with this. As we already know, Pele has got to be sitting in that S category. If somebody's worth 4.1 mil, it's going to be Pele. Michael Owen, 305k, no lengthy, can't be controlled, so is only explosive. For me, I'm surprised he's still coming in at 305. I absolutely hate explosive strikers. They don't work. As soon as you come up against Virgil, Rudiger, Koulibaly, you've got to really, really play a different sort of role with a striker. And for me, I just cannot do it. It's very, very boring build-up play. There's very little through balls that he runs onto because he's just caught so easily. Yes, you do have the freedom knowing that you can't obviously put him anything else, that you can just whack him with anything and then you're kind of golden. I personally, if I was looking at this, would think you've got to really go with the Hunter. You maximize the pace to 99. You get the 99 finishing as well as the 91 shooting overall. Agility is quite nice. Balance is decent. The whole dribbling stat bar from composure at 83 is okay, but nothing too amazing. And then everything else is nothing. No passing really. Physicality is non-existent. For me, I just don't rate the card, and I think he's probably sitting in C. but I will put him in B just because I feel like he's got a bit of value at least to add. 209k Nesta then next, 90 rated Italian centre-back, lengthy on the base. Obviously, you can whack that shadow, get him to 79 pace. Again, as a centre-back goes right now, a solid centre-back. Obviously, in the future, we're going to get your Virgils at high rated. We're going to get your Rudigers at high rated, Koulibaly, and eventually we'll overtake pretty much all of the lower centre-backs. It will be the Maldinis, the Blancs that really sit and stand tall in terms of centre-backs. Nesta, Puyol, all of them ones that are lengthy now, but with only 80 give or take pace, are going to go down more and more. For now, I'm going to be sitting him in that A, and I can imagine within the next kind of month, maybe even a couple of weeks, depending on the promos, is going to come down to the B and then eventually down to C, which pretty much most of these icons will do at some point. Nedved mid, an 89 left mid from Czech Republic, 411k. His base has an SBC that you can go and do, and honestly, the base was absolutely brilliant. So to say he's lost, I think he's lost 2 pace, he's gained 4 shooting, 4 passing, 1 dribbling, 6 defending, 3 physicals. I'm very happy with this card. Yes, he's going to be controlled. He's got the 4-star, 5-star. It's coming in at a high price. Great pace on him. Shooting's decent. Great passing, dribbling. Decent amount of kind of physicality for a left mid. I think for me, he is a surprising card. I think the agility is something that really, really stands out for me. His running into be able to transition to moving is just brilliant. Overall, the chem style you want, I think, would be the engine, I want to say, just to maximize as much dribbling as you can get. We've already got solid amounts of shooting, which will do him absolutely fine, especially if you are cutting him in on maybe the right mid for the Trivela. Can only be left mid, left wing in the positions, but obviously moved in game. And I think the Trivelas are going to be something that he can utilize absolutely incredibly, especially then you don't need to actually get up any of his shooting, and I'm more than happy to give him the pace, passing, and dribbling movement. For that, we're going into the AS. Into a new icon into the game, and it's going to be Gerd Muller. Honestly, this card always looks really nice from everything that I've seen from pre-versions. Obviously, when we got the hype of him being a new icon in there, a 4-star, coming in at a mil. The difference between new icons, yes, we've seen Xabi Alonso really dip in price, but with especially some like Jarzinho, with the Muller, it's very hard to predict them straight away because we know that they're going to be a high demand for people to try these out. You could imagine probably a month in, the prices would have relaxed a little bit if he really wasn't incredible. I feel like he's definitely one that's up there. Can't be lengthy, unfortunately, is controlled on the base. At the minute, I would say his base card does look better, mainly because of that pace increase. That, for me, is what's going to be the big factor in this. Obviously, if we do look at the difference between his prime, he has got 1 less than his base, but everything else looks pretty tip-top. 94 on the shooting there. This one's got 93. Dribbling-wise, looking pretty fantastic throughout again. Like I say, a 4-4. I think for me, we're going to give him the benefit of the doubt to start with. We definitely want to get the review on him as soon as possible, but he's going to be in that S tier. And then we have Bobby Moore, 100k centre-back, 89 rated, well, not even lengthy on the base, lengthy with Architect. For me, this one's quite a quick and easy one. He's going to be all the way down in that C. Might as well be fodder. Back up to the top tier, Matthias is Matthias. He is just a brilliant CDM, CM, whatever you want of him. He actually does have 2 different alternative positions. So he can be a DM as the base, a centre-back due to obviously his base card, and a right mid. I don't personally remember, well, I personally didn't see Matthias heavily in his career, but I never saw him at right mid in any of the cards that we've seen. So I'm going off a whim here and saying he's not going to be a right mid, but as a DM, absolutely phenomenal and lengthy on that Architect. A review is pending for this guy, 1.2 mil, and he's going to be in that S. And then from top tier to top tier, another one in Maldini 92. What a card. He is straight S, like 100%. I personally rate Maldini as the best centre-back you can get on the game. Full stop. His mid is just as good as his prime, and then his prime just, again, is absolutely top dollar. Only actually coming in at a mil this year, which is really nice. He is always going to be in that S for me. There's no other position like him, and honestly, you need to get him if you have the coins. Into Makalele as the 87 French DM this time. Very much much linked to the Conte sort of vibes. 78 pace, 86 defending, good physicals, architect for the lengthy. Unfortunately, you don't get that pace increase. I think to start with, in this kind of November period, he's still going to be quite relevant as we hit into the December and January months with obviously new cards coming in. Whatever happens in this World Cup, I feel like icons will definitely be on the back burner for a lot of people. He may start to lose a little bit of relevancy. Right now, I think he definitely can go into a team and it'd be fantastic, even with that architect. For that reason, he's going in that AS still for now, and then we'll see later on if he does drop. Vigo is up next, the right wing 90, another one that actually the alternative positions really work well for this card. So there is no lengthy on him, but because he has a base that is a cam, this guy's alternative position is a cam as well. Right wing, right mid at the other positions, but I absolutely love this guy in the middle of the pitch. As the right wing, I like him for his Travellas. I think that works really well. But every year, I've always liked him in that middle position. His agility, a little bit of balance, nothing crazy. But his agility is always what set him forward. With, obviously, the engine. Unfortunately, it does take him explosive this year. But if you play him in a different sort of kind of role, the passing sort of role, you don't necessarily need to run with him. His passing, his dribbling are going to make it through where you don't necessarily need to absolutely blitz anybody. Does mean if he is through on goal, you more than likely will be catched by centre-backs, but I do like his ball control, just general on-the-ball mechanics work really, really well for this guy. I'm going to put him in A because there is better, but as a personal favourite, I do like this card very much, and he's coming in at 680 as well. Littmanen up next as the 88 rated. We finally found someone under 100k, 93,000 coins this guy is. I think I can save the trouble. He is semi-usable, and I use that word very, very lightly with this card. He is semi-usable if you really have no other choice. The only time I'd probably even consider using him is if I needed to link any players, and he's the untradeable icon that I've got. Other than that, there is so many cards you can go. He's just going straight down into the sea. Lineker at 292. No lengthy capabilities, but we can have that Hunter with the controlled, which is always nice if I can find it. Giving him 97 pace, 94 shooting. I think a lot of people are going for the finisher as well. That again will work. He's already got the 89 pace. Finisher though, for me, it is a good chem style and it waxes shooting up to 94 and a good amount of dribbling, but it does turn him into explosive. I personally don't like it. I would much rather keep him controlled, get the max amount of pace I possibly can from him, as well as more shooting. Dribbling wise, we'll see him through for a bit. Not really got the physicality, which is okay. Even with a finisher, that's not going to change at all. So I would say Hunter, and I'd say in terms of right now, I'd put him in the A. As we go forward into the game, I reckon he will drop down to that B very, very quickly. Laudrup up next, the left wing that can definitely go into that cam. We've got okay pace, nothing crazy, 82 on the base. We've got really, really bad shooting. Passing has always been very nice for him. 90 dribbling. He, for me, is 100% more of a cam than anything. You can obviously whack the Hunter on him with the controlled still being active, and I think that would be where I would personally go with him. Because we've got the passing already, we've got a good amount of dribbling to see him through. I need a little bit more shooting on him. Obviously, with the Hunter, you get a +8 on that finishing, taking it to 86, as well as giving him that 90 pace. Being 6 foot, it's going to be massive for him to have that sort of element. Because he's already got good passing, I think the cam is where he wants to sit. And I would say I'd be very, very close to be putting him into A. I'm going to be putting him in B purely for what we've got, and the price is coming in at is 103. You can kind of see where that's coming from. Henrik Larsson, the Swedish icon, is the cheapest. 84,000 coins. He has taken the lead on the cheapest mid icon you can get in the game. Explosive on the base. Doesn't get controlled with no Hunter, with no finisher. He is purely just going to be explosive, and that you can see why. I think for me, he's just definitely straight going down into C. The Hunter is where you want to go with. You need that pace and shooting, but unfortunately, that's not going to cut it in this game. So C, unfortunately, is going to be where the 84,000 coin icon's going to be. Lampard, 88 rated. We've got an 86 with a big pace increase. So, yeah, I can see where the base is coming here. Obviously, with the prime, again, we've got a little bit of a pace increase again. I think the mid, by the looks of it, is going to be the worst. You can actually whack the anchor on him still to get that lengthy, so it gives him 70 pace. It will give him enough to get by, but you can kind of see 124k. I'd probably have to put him in that B category just purely on everything we've seen so far. He's going to have to stick there. So he's got, what, 88 shooting. I don't think it's going to be enough to really bump him up into that A unless he gets a massive upgrade out of nowhere, which we all know ain't going to happen. Philip Lahm, okay, CDM Lahm. I've done a review on this guy, and he was beautiful. Can not be the lengthy, but we've got a left back, right back, and CDM variation that we can go with for his alternative positions. Architect, unfortunately, is the only controlled running you can do with him. Otherwise, he is lengthy. And again, not a massive fan of that on any player because we know the implications that brings. The only good thing with a CDM is you can kind of slightly get away with it. Either A, you've got a very good back line. B, you've got two CDMs, one lengthy, one not. You use Lahm as kind of like the last resort for a last-ditch challenge. The acceleration is going to be better. And then you just absolutely whack that shadow on him. 90 pace, 95 defending. He will be able to do a lot of stuff. But the kind of contrast to that, we don't ever have him as a last man, so he never has to chase a lengthy striker. And B, I don't particularly want him running through on goal, so we don't have to go against any defenders. So for me, you can kind of get away with it with him. He's coming in at 540,000 coins, and he will sit proudly in the AS category. Coman, 88 centre-back that can be a CDM, can be lengthy with the anchor, which is always perfect. And again, another one like Rijkaard that would sit in that CDM for me. He's 5'11", 3-star, so not the greatest start. Great defending with the anchor. Physicality is fantastic. Good amount of passing. Dribbling wise, we got good composure and reactions. Ball control is not terrible. Some decent long shots as well. CDM wise, which I think is definitely a favoured position, he's actually going to go into AS with Rijkaard. Patrick Kluivert, 188,000 coins for this Netherlands striker, the Holland striker. 88 rated. He's got an 86 and a 91. This one is coming in relatively the same sort of pace. Shooting wise 84, can be lengthy with the the anchor or architect as well as a marksman. So realistically, it's got to be the marksman at the very minimum to make him lengthy. 86 pace will definitely get you by. Gets the 91 shooting, 88 dribbling, which is always fantastic. Composure at 81, 180k is not terrible for that. 92 strength. I think he's a solid all-round card. A 4-star, right-footed, 6'2". I think if I'm being, because of who I've put in this category, I would probably be looking at the A, but purely for that lengthy meta at the start of the game, AS is where I've really got to put him. Closer. So we've got the 89 German World Cup. I think he's still a record holder for the most goals in a World Cup or in World Cup history. I could be wrong. Hopefully it is. Let me know down below if you know the answer to that. I haven't checked it. But 140,000 coins. Marksman again for the lengthy. 83 pace. Not going to quite cut Kluivert's record there. A 3-star, 4-star, 6 foot. Again, very, very similar to Kluivert. Just a little bit less on the pace. Obviously, the shooting's very good. Passing's okay. But because Kluivert's in that AS, there's no way that Closer can be there as well. He's going to have to go in the A. Keane is up next. 190k for the Irish 88 centre mid. We can be lengthy because he is lengthy, which makes him absolutely spot on. We've got solid physicality already. The aggression, as you can imagine, is top dollar for him. We've got the shadow, which gives him 82 pace, which at the start of the game is not bad. 92 defending. You can't argue with it. I think if you just had that little bit more, if we look at his prime, we've got the 80 pace rather than 82, but defending's absolutely incredible. You could argue, what's his base? 74. So, yeah, so the mid at the moment is going to be the best version. He's got to be AS, just purely. Them stats, the lengthy meta is going to work really well. Kaká. 89 cam Brazilian, a 5-star, 4-star, no lengthy capabilities, is controlled though, so you have got all the limits for the controlled. I think Hunter would be, Hunter's definitely the chem style I would go with. 93 pace, 88 shooting, gives him 90 dribbling, which gives him composure of 91. Physicality not really existent, good passing on him. I think for me, in terms of what this guy can do, the stat-wise right now is definitely in that S category. I think very, very quickly when we start to get players that are better as just an overall, he will drop down into maybe an AS, but for now, an S will do. Another new icon, I think Jarzinho, I could be absolutely butchering that. Apologies. 2.6 mil looks phenomenal. He is obviously going against Garrincha, another massive, massive icon in the game. So it is kind of them two going neck and neck. He can be right mid, right wing. I don't think Garrincha can be a left wing or left mid. I think they are both just battling the same position out. But again, with the alternative positions, it's nice that we could fit both of them in if we were running a free at the back or something like that to be able to kind of fit them into the team and move them in game. But we have got the controlled meta with him. He will have probably... Chemstar wise, we've got the pace already, so we don't need any more of that. Agility, well, dribbling in general is absolutely fantastic. They are going for the Hawk. So the Hawk will give you 97 pace, 95 shooting, 79 physical. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. There's no other position for this new icon, but sitting there with all of his Brazilians. Let's go. Herrero is the next one, coming in at 134,000 coins. And again, we're seeing the pattern with a lot of these lengthy centre-backs that necessarily don't have the pace. They do have the defending, a bit of physical. You're going to have to go with a shadow with him because it's not going to give him enough. And if Nesta's had to go into that A, unfortunately, so is Herrero. He's just not enough to put himself in that higher category. Luis Hernandez, the Mexican 87 striker with incredible paces, no lengthy capabilities. We've got explosive architect for the controlled. He's going to have to be... I could argue that you could go controlled with him because we've already got 90 finishing. You've got the 91 pace. He has got 4-star, 3-star, which works, 5'9", so he's got the agility. You could argue you could definitely go architect and play on that controlled a little bit more. A lot of people, especially old gen, would more than likely go for something like a finisher, probably try and max out that shooting as possible. Hunter would be another one, obviously, for the pace to be maxed out at 98. I think for me, the architect could be a move on new gen, just to hopefully get that little bit extra bit of pace rather than the explosive. But I think for me, an A would suit him down to the ground. We have TT next, the 90 left wing. I absolutely loved this card as a striker. Honestly, was brilliant. That was at the start of the game, so it'll be interesting to see how this card kind of really fares out. 1 million coins for this left wing. Unfortunately, we are just waiting for that last thing for him. That lengthy on a Thierry Henry would be absolutely stunning. I don't think... No, his striker unfortunately can't be. That would have been absolutely brilliant. I think a lengthy card for Henry would just be the perfect way to set this guy off to be phenomenal. Even if you had to wait for the prime, that prime Henry would be absolutely special if we still had that lengthy in the matter. I don't think his 87 can. No, his 87 can't be. So you're going to have to really go for controlled. We've got great pace on him. Shooting's fine. Dribbling-wise, we've got everything great, bar from balance. Good amount of passing, especially on the short. Some strength. People are going for the Hunter with him, which I definitely can see. You can put him as an alternative striker, which in this game obviously is even better because this card was locked to left wing, left mid on previous games purely because we didn't have the alternative positions. So definitely a striker in the game. I think if you're looking at him, 1 million coin striker, 98 pace, 93 shooting, he is controlled with that Hunter. I think he's got to be in that S. As much as last year, I just didn't get on with this card. We're giving him the benefit of the doubt because his base was incredible. His left wing mid has got to be just as good, surely. Hadji, 88 cam, or 89 cam in fact. The Romanian icon is coming in at 315, no lengthy, is very much explosive, which again, like I say, for cams can work out because this guy is a very good balance cam. He's got good pace, or a good at least base of pace. Shooting's good, passing's good, dribbling's good. There's not really a bad stat that stands out. It's not like his agility is 90 but his balance is 70. Everything's pretty solid throughout. We don't really have any physicality. Stamina's 82, you can't really argue. People are going for the engine to obviously bring him more as an agile sort of cam, that would really work out for this card as a 4-4. I think most definitely he is a little bit slept on in terms of what we kind of used him for before, because mainly we get a lot of good cams, or we get a lot of strikers that can go into cams. So there's not really a heavy need for a good cam. We need the best. So it is more of your Pelés, more of your Ronaldinhos, rather than your Hagis paying 315. But I think in terms of ability, you've got to go in that AS. Oh, we hit a big boy now. Hullet mid is just, if you've played the game for more than probably a day, you know Hullet is just stunning. It's the dreads, it's the stats, it's the height, it's everything about this card. 5 million coins. There's only one reason why that is, and that is because he's Hullet gang. There is a reason why there's a whole movement made over him. He is the definition of an icon. Absolutely stunning. He has no other introduction other than going into that S and absolutely running the show with him and Vieira. Steven Gerrard looking very, very young in his mid. I think he looks older in his baby version, which is crazy, but obviously. But he's got an 89 centre mid. To be honest, looks relatively solid throughout. Architect for the lengthy, already has the 80 pace. You could get by with him. 474 price. Probably wouldn't pay that for him. I feel like that is a bit of a hefty price. In terms of lengthy, 80 pace, passing and physical go up, dribbling's 84, 86 shooting, mainly heavily relied around shot power and long shot. He's got a 3-star. I'd probably be looking anywhere between the 200 and 300 mark at this moment for this card, but he is still a relatively meta-ish card at this moment. He will drop down. We will whack him in that AS for now. Like I say, he will definitely drop down very, very quickly. But because he's got the lengthy and he's got a really good balance of stats throughout, he's going to have to go there. Here we go in Gattuso. Lengthy on the base, 140,000 coins. You whack that shadow on him, 82 pace, 94 defended, great physicals with 88 strength, 97 aggression. Expect nothing less from this card. Not necessarily the greatest passing. Reactions, great. Composure, not so much. It is a shame this card isn't more better. to put it plainly. Obviously, with his base, I think it's got a bit more pace. Or no, it doesn't. It has one less, actually. His prime, again, does have one less pace. So it is unfortunate that we don't just get a very nice, well-rounded Gattuso, as I think he definitely could do with it. He just needs that little bit extra on the passing, a bit more on the dribbling. I don't even need any shooting on him. We can get the shadow on him, gets his defending up, get his physicals are already there. We haven't got no jumping, which is absolutely fine. We don't need it. And he has got 2-star, 3-star, so nothing crazy there. In terms of the meta this year, he is AS, but again, he will drop down very quickly, and I don't think he's going to be in many people's teams. Garrincha. So we've had Jarzinho, and now we've got Garrincha. 1.2 mil, is also a right wing, right mid. So again, like I say, if you went a 3-4-3, I think it is, it has a right wing, a right mid. You can whack one at right mid, one at right wing, swap one over if you wanted to. If there's a centre mid that can go left mid. Again, there's so many opportunities that you can use this chemistry kind of base system to really work. And to be honest, you could probably whack one on no chem and they'd still do fine. The highest rated are absolutely fine with that, but obviously you are looking for chem if you can, especially if one is going to be lengthy. Garrincha, unfortunately, isn't going to be. Architect is the only way for controlled, otherwise it is explosive. The one thing I did find, especially with the base version, and I know with Garrincha from last year, it went base, mid, prime. You keep basically upgrading every time you go up in this card. You definitely want him more in that striking role rather than a right mid. You don't play him right mid, he doesn't work there. He's very much on the back foot. He wants to have that quick burst. He gets the passing in, gets the Travellas in, the skills. He is a 5-star, 4-star, and he does absolute work. For that, S tier is definite, 1.3 mil, worth every single penny. Rio Ferdinand is up next, a lengthy centre-back that honestly always takes the game by storm, and this is the sort of centre-back you want. With the shadow, 88 pace, 96 defended, physicalities are okay enough, 85 on the aggression and strength, a bit of passing, nothing incredible, 90 composure, 88 reactions. He is an S of all centre-backs that are holy. Mid Eusebio, 2.56 mil. Again, this card needs no introductions. He is is a god in terms of that attacking work. Unfortunately, no actual lengthy and can only be architect controlled. But with the pace he's got, with everything you can have with him, give him an engine, a hunter, a finisher, whatever you need from him, he is still an absolute god in front of the net. Shooting is absolutely unreal, and he is 100% in the S's with his big boys. Samuel Eto'o, 1.4 million coins. This guy again is an absolute elite player. No lengthy, but more controlled than the others. Obviously, with the finisher and artist, he's going to be explosive. Everything else is going to give him that controlled, which is music to my ears. People, or 23 votes, are saying marksman. Marksman will give you, I always get thrown off, 96 shooting, 95 dribbling, 85 physical, already having the 91 pace. Could you argue maybe a Hawk? You get the shooting bonus to 97, pace to 95, and 85 physical. I think you could argue a few. Hawk, Marksman, Hunter, you could definitely argue between them. Even Engine to some extent, just to get that balance up, because his shooting's already top class. He is already going into S tier 100%, but most definitely is a debatable subject around his chemistry style. 87 Essien. Okay, so we've got a controlled CDM, 315,000 coins. His base version already has a SBC and is considered better, mainly because you do get that 83 kind of pace on the base, and he's already lengthy, meaning you could even whack a shadow on him. So unfortunately, he's a little bit lower than the previous versions, which will affect obviously what you can do. He can be lengthy with the anchor, so that is at least a benefit for him. So he is going to be in that AS, but I would definitely consider going for the base rather than the mid at this point. Oh, we have a good one now in Didier Drogba. 1 million coins for this lengthy striker. Very, very, very similar to Haaland. He's got the pace, he's got the shooting, the physicality. Dribbling wise, not so much, very much like a Haaland, but he has the 4-star. You're gonna want to whack the Hunter on him, because why not? Get him paced out, shooting out, absolutely stunning striker, and S is where he belongs. Finally, Desai is up next at 562,000 coins. He's got a base card as a centre-back, a prime as a centre-back, and this is the CDM version of what you can get. Lengthy on the base. He is 6'1". I think for this card, you can whack him either CDM or centre-back. He's going to do an absolute job for you. I would probably argue that centre-back could be the move for this guy. I feel like he's always been a very, very good centre-back on the previous cards. Lengthy throughout all of them. I think he's an S tier 100%. And he's only coming in at 560, which isn't terrible. Del P, 700,000 coins. No chance of lengthy. Architect with a controlled. A 4-star, 5-star. Honestly, always like this card. Old gen are still going to absolutely love him. He's going to be phenomenal for you. We can get the explosive, which again is not necessarily my favorite thing for a striker. You could turn him into more of a cam, which I personally would probably go with the engine. Give him a bit more passing, give him some pace, some more agility balance, and he's got that work to go with. The 5-star weak foot's always going to be nice. We've got some good long shots and shot power. I'm going to go AS. I do feel like you could maybe rack that up to the S, but AS for now. King Kenny is up next in Dalglish's 90 centre forward. No lengthy. You go mainly on the explosive again. I feel like you could argue cam, striker. Again, it all depends on your preference. Personally, cam would be the better position for me, as I know you're not necessarily running through on goal. You can kind of use him in that kind of diamond free, the 2 strikers and the cam, with 2 lengthy strikers, him as the explosive middle, passing and moving. He needs people to be up there with him. He's not going to outrun someone like Virgil, because he's explosive. That's the whole point of how this works. He's not going to blitz past people, but he has the stats to do it if you can almost play him in where there's just no chance of a defender catching him. I think for me, I'd say Hunter's got to be the way. Architect is what people are saying as well. I think, how many? 9 votes. So again, people are thinking the same, trying to make him controlled, seeing if that 87 pace is enough. Maybe yes, for right now it's going to be enough, but definitely it's going to drop down very, very quickly. For that, AS is where he's at. If he was lengthy, he'd be quicker in that S. quicker than I can speak. And another big boy, 3.2 million coins. Cruyff is phenomenal. You don't really need too much introductions. All you need to know is this guy's a 5-star. Every version's phenomenal, and you must pay every penny to get this card. He is so difficult to try and get in any sort of icon SBC. I think the only time I've ever really got this card other than paying for him is from his actual icon moments SBC back in like FIFA 18, but he is an S among all of the S's. Crespo, 233,000 coins. Definitely forgot about a lot. I think he's got his 85 with the same pace. He's got his prime with more pace, which is always nice. This card's coming in with the controlled meta, which is always nice. I think Hunter's definitely got to be the way to go for him. He's got great dribbling with good composure. Physicality's not really there. 76 stamina is a little bit touch and go. Maybe wants something as a super sub just to help him out there. But again, not a bad card by any means. I think for me, if I'm looking at him, 233, not a bad price for an icon. But I think I will go A for him. I feel like AS is definitely just that little step away from him, but he's definitely not far away to say that he couldn't be argued up there. Ashley Cole, left back. Honestly, I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like they really did him dirty, and I feel like they do a lot of left backs dirty anyway. We haven't really got too many 90+ left backs in the game until we get to team of the season. I just don't think they're rated highly enough, and again, I think Ashley Cole's the same. His base is actually better than the mid, just purely for the fact that you lose 6 pace going from his 85 to his 87. When we go to his 89, he does get up to 89 pace, which again is always fantastic. But I do think that just because he's got that sheer lack of pace now, you're going to have to whack that shadow on him just to kind of keep him even in the slight relevancy. In terms of the shadow, you end up with 93 pace, which is always nice. But then you get the 92 defending. If you was to do the same with the base, you go for that anchor, you get 95 pace, 88 defending, and 77 physical, and it's just that little bit of a bonus that really works. I've been using the base as on my second account, and it's been doing fine. The left back, I think for me, is just a little bit underwhelming as a left back. For me, I'm going to have to put him in that B, unfortunately. Peter Cech is coming in next as the 88 Czech Republican icon. Again, another goalkeeper, and very similar to a lot of them. He's kind of okay, but I mean, keepers are keepers nowadays. They just do what they want to do at times. I think in terms of traits, we've got cautious with crosses, team player, goalkeeper, long throw. So the big one for me is the cautions with crosses. Yes, at the moment, that one is kind of... it's slightly irrelevant and is slightly relevant as well. Because normally, if you had no meta for scoring straight from the corner, I would say cautions with crosses is bad. That is always going to be one that really shoots yourself in the foot. You want him to be out and winning as many of them balls straight from the corner. Now we don't move the keepers. Obviously, that becomes less relevant because we are trying to defend it more so than let them score straight from corner. So it's a half and half with where you want to take that as a positive or negative. That more than likely might change. Again, might, because nothing's changed as of yet and we're a month in. But if it doesn't change, it's not a bad thing. If it does change, then obviously that can be considered a negative. In terms of the price, 175, I'm going to put him down in this A. I think he's a solid keeper, but again, I would much rather spend 50k on Courtois and be jobs good with it. Casillas is next, the 89 Spaniard goalie, and honestly, we've loved this card. He's 200,000 coins. We've used him for about 130 something matches, and he was phenomenal for me. I won't be putting him in S, as I do think Van der Sar is the best icon keeper. Yashin obviously has different debates. Primes might be a different story, but in terms of mids, Casillas got to be in that AS for me. He has done absolutely wonderful for the club. Roberto Carlos up next. A very, very expensive left back. 800,000 coins. Stats are very good. We've got great passing. Dribbling's great until we get to the agility and dribbling. But everything else from balance, reactions, ball control, composure, in fact, it's a little bit on the average side. but everything else is looking fantastic. We can whack the anchor on him, he absolutely sorted with it, still controlled, gets the pace up there, as well as more physical and defending. And I think for me, in terms of left backs, never look through the icons, he's got to be that S tier left back. Carlos Alberto. So this one's really, really interesting, because I think for me, you've got two ways of this now. Now we've got the alternative positions, which means this guy can be a centre-back if you want him to be. But he is not lengthy, he is controlled. So this card is specifically a right back. You will never put him as centre-back with no lengthy. The problem you've got is not necessarily even with this card. The base card is an 87 centre-back that can be lengthy with the anchor, but also can be moved over to the right back. So if I was personally looking at these cards, I would much rather go for a lengthy right back, even with a -8 pace. I would much rather go with an anchor, whack the 4 pace on him, and have him lengthy. He will still be quicker than the right back with, say, a shadow on now. That is absolutely nuts. That is just absolutely crazy to think that that works out. With this card, an anchor's definitely got to be the way to go. 94 pace, 92 defending, 89 physical, yada, yada, yada. He is still going to be an S tier right back. But it is just funny how a lengthy aspect will make that card better. Even if the price doesn't say it, you can still put him at right back. Another monster in the game. The King is home. The King is always an S tier player. 5-star, 4-star, 2.76 million coins. Again, a fantastic player. Marksman for the anchor. Yes, doesn't necessarily get the lengthy with, say, a hunter or anything like that. But as a cam, somebody working forward with the ball, 85 is going to be absolutely enough with every other stat that he's got. Shooting's already elite. With the marksman goes to 96. We get 98 strength on him. Passing's absolutely fine at 89. We get 97 dribbling. He's going to be an absolute baller that requires that S category. Cannavaro up next as an 89 rated centre-back. Architect for the lengthy. Unfortunately, he's just not going to be the same. We did use his base a couple days ago, and honestly, he still really does the work. But when it comes to lengthy strikers, we must have got very, very lucky, because unfortunately, he's not going to work out in terms of that lengthy meta. He is unfortunately going to be that little bit behind, because we have to put the lengthy on with 76 pace, meaning he can't get the bonus of having the 84 pace with the obviously the shadow. So I think the base is still going to be better than this version, which will drop this version down to the AS, and it's a shame because I absolutely love Cannavaro, but he has been done dirty without that lengthy. Sol Campbell, 290, lengthy the base, good pace, great physicals, and obviously defending. Unfortunately, the passing aspect is a little bit lower. Yes, the free kick accuracy being 18 lowers it way more than it should. So we do have 75 passing out, which is always nice. And same with dribbling. 85 reactions, 82 composure. Not going to be the greatest person on the ball, which is very limited amount of space that you're really going to use him on the ball as a centre-back. But we don't have that real top-end composure when it means kind of really struggling. You've got the ball and you've got strikers attacking you. You're going to risk trying to pass it. You need to oof it out. And that is something that will always cause them a little bit of problems when we have got the Virgils, the Rudigers, who have got plenty of ball and skills. So for me, he is near an S in terms of what the meta is, but we are going to whack him down in the AS just to be safe. Cafu is up next, the 90 rated Brazilian, looking in at a million, just shy of 1 million coins to be fair. A right back that is absolutely brilliant in the game, great pace, lengthy with the anchor. You're going to be paying through the nose for this sort of card because he is icon lengthy right back. It's absolutely beautiful. I don't think he needs too much of an introduction. We know he's very much like Alberto, but he does have that lengthy, which just absolutely emulates an S tier card. Butra is up next, the 1 million coin Spanish striker. No lengthy, explosive, really. Marksman can give you the controlled, which to be honest is probably where I'd go with him. Gives him the shooting bonus, a little bit more on that dribbling. We've got the 92 pace, and we've got a little bit of added physicality, and he's got okay passing, nothing crazy. So I think for me, the controlled is definitely going to save this card. If it was explosive only, I'd probably have to go with maybe a hunter just to max out the pace as well as getting the shooting. But with the marksman, you're going to get the controlled. Gives you a slightly better running stance for me. And I think for that, AS is where I'd put it. Blanc, another fantastic centre-back, 400,000 coins, anchor with the lengthy, 83 pace, gives him 95 defending, 91 physical, already some decent composure, dribbling throughout isn't awful, we've got some good agility balance for a centre-back, both being 74, 72, and he's got a good amount of passing out as well. He has got an alternative position as a cam, just purely on his base. I can guarantee you're not putting this card in a cam, but as a centre-back, I think S is where he was born for. Georgie Best is the next mid. 1 million coins, coming in with no lengthy, explosive really only, architect with obviously the controlled, very, very much like Garincha. Play him high up the pitch. You don't want him in that right mid. You want him as far up into the striker sort of zone as you can, because we've got the ability. 4-star, 4-star, great pace, great shooting, dribbling solid, passing is decent. Chemistry style people are going, 14 have voted Hunter, and I couldn't agree more. If it's going to be explosive, make sure you max out that pace and shooting as much as possible, and I still think he does rectify himself in the S. Dennis Bergkamp coming in at 420,000 coins, 90 rated cam, no lengthy, mainly controlled, which is always still very, very nice. People are going to say the Engine or the Hunter as the two chem styles you want. Engine gives you a little bit of pace onto the 89, dribbling goes up, passing go up. I think that probably would be the move, seeing as though he is a cam, striker or right wing. Never seen Bergkamp at a right wing, but that's incredible. I would say cam is going to be the position for him. If you wanted to go out and out striker, I think you've definitely got to go for that Hunter. 93 pace, 94 shooting. I think his dribbling should do him for it. Yes, a little bit more passing you'd kind of want, but I think as a striker, you could still definitely get something from him. Good controlled work rate, 420,000 coins in the AS. You go. Mid Beckham, 482,000 coins. Interesting. The big thing with this card, again, is the alternative positions. In his base card, we get a centre mid 87 David Beckham, and then pretty much most are right mid then. Obviously, his mid prime and prime moments from last year was right mid, but now we can have an alternative position of that centre mid, meaning we can put him in the cam a lot easier. Yes, you've got to have 4-3-3 and then change it in game. You could do that with the right mid, but then you lose the right mid spot and you need a centre mid that can be right wing. Now we can move him into the middle, makes him so much easier to link him into that cam role, as he hasn't got the greatest amount of pace, can still be controlled, so I would more than likely go with either the Engine or Hunter again. People are saying Hunter straight out for this card, which I couldn't agree more with, purely because the 80 pace is not going to be enough. We need that 88 to solidify this card, and to be honest, 88 pace, 91 shooting, 92 passing, 80 physicals, again most of it's stamina, and 86 dribbling is going to be wonderful. I think for the first time, a right mid Beckham is going to sit in that AS for me. John Barnes, 230,000 coins, lengthy with the architect. Unfortunately, as a left wing, it's not going to save him too much. As a cam, that could be some wiggle room. 90 passing, 91 physical. I think most definitely with that added bonus of being lengthy, at this point in the game, that could be a savior for him. Yes, left wing, he probably could still do some numbers. 88 pace on the base is nice. I would like a little bit more on the shooting side. So really, I'd be looking more as a cam, somebody to assist the play, but then also have the shots every now and then, because he's still got a solid amount. It's about just above average. But in terms of left wing, I personally like, if I've got a left and right wing and a striker single, I definitely want the left and right wing to have high shooting presence. They're going to be all scoring rather than just one. And again, you could still definitely change how you play with that and just constantly feed the striker in. But if he's one-on-one, I want to make sure that he can score. So I'd be looking at that Hunter or something else, whereas now we've got to go with this architect to get the lengthy. For that, he's got to be in the AS as well. Berezi is up next, and again, very similar to Nesta. Unfortunately, the pace is just not enough. Not lengthy on the base. He has to have the anchor to get there. Only gives him 73 pace. Unfortunately, is not going to be enough. It does make him semi-okay, but in terms of you paying 170k for him, you can go and pick Virgil up and he'll give you probably 15 times the output. Balak, the absolute baller, is here, and what a card this is. Again, another cracking centre mid, and like we saw back in, I want to say FIFA 19, obviously the lengthy is a new added meta, but what it seems is tall, fast, strong, great shooting, great passing, great dribbling are all in season. Vieira, Ballack and Hullet are back better than ever. The lengthy is always a nice bonus for him, coming in at 5.75, can whack pretty much any sort of chem style bar from artist and finisher, so you're going to be looking at something like the Shadow to get this guy's defending up. 86 pace, 85 defending, with then the base of everything else. What a fantastic card this will be. An SBC would be really nice for this one, and as we go into the prime, he still hopefully stays lengthy, and he will definitely stay in this A category for as long as I know. And for the final card, it is going to be the Mullet Man Baggio. 492,000 coins, no lengthy, explosive, anchor, architect and marksman for the controlled. I think definitely you could go with that marksman and really save this guy. Can be Cam center forward. Cam will just do fine. He is going to go in that AS to finish off, and that is the tier list. That is a lot of talking. But that is the list we've got. I would kind of hope that we could spread these out a little bit more for you to see. I was trying to kind of make it a bit easier, because the last tier list, you couldn't quite get as many players on as once, so you had to do 2 different tier lists. So I've tried something different. Hopefully it does translate really well. Again, I do know that they are a little bit blocky, but if you've watched it side by side, we've tried to zoom in and do as much as we can. There's a lot of top end icons at the moment. That's mainly because we haven't had so many promos to make these golds even better, and a lot of them are lengthy, which always works really well. The price tag is irrelevant on these because they are in their own price bracket. We find a few of the C's that definitely will be kind of C's and then even more fodder. B's will eventually go into C's, and everything drops down. And pretty much then we stop with Zidane, R9, Eusebio, Cruyff, the standard 11, 15 icons that everybody wants by the end of the game. And that is just naturally how the progression of FIFA works. It does that every year. The only difference is we have got a World Cup mode with apparently new icon moments or campaigns for the World Cup. That will be interesting, so if you want to see more of that, hit that subscription down below. We will be covering all of the World Cup stuff as always. Bar from that, check out a video on the left. If you did enjoy this, a like is always appreciated, and I'll catch you all for the next one. Peace.